Before the world ever names you, you name yourself. And long before anyone speaks kindness or cruelty toward you, your own voice has already gone first. Every quiet sentence you whisper inside your chest becomes a command your spirit learns to obey. Some of us have been gentle with strangers, yet ruthless with our own reflection, repeating old hurts as if they were facts. But hear this truth clearly. The way you speak to yourself is shaping the life you are living. Today is not about pretending pain never existed. It is about refusing to let that pain become your language. If your words have the power to break you, they also carry the power to rebuild you. And it begins the moment you choose to speak differently. Every word you release about yourself falls into the soil of your mind. Some words arrive softly, almost unnoticed, yet they take root all the same. When you call yourself weak, when you repeat that you are not enough, when you joke about your own worth as if pain were humor, those words do not vanish into the air. They stay, they settle, they grow. And one day, you wonder why your confidence feels fragile, why hope feels distant, not realizing you planted doubt with your own tongue. You were never meant to be the harshest voice in your own life. Life will challenge you enough without you joining the struggle against yourself. The world will criticize, measure, and judge, but it does not need your help. When you speak negativity about yourself, you water wounds that were already trying to heal. You reopen doors you worked hard to close. You teach your spirit to bow when it was born to stand. There is a quiet power in choosing gentler words, not because everything is perfect, but because you are still here, still breathing, still becoming. Speaking kindly to yourself does not erase your mistakes. It allows you to learn without punishment. Growth does not come from humiliation. It comes from honesty wrapped in compassion. You can acknowledge where you are without declaring yourself broken. Remember this, your mind believes what it hears most often. If the loudest voice it hears is one of self-blame, it will shape your future through fear. But if it hears encouragement, even whispered, it begins to reach higher. A seed does not need shouting to grow. It needs consistency. Speak strength repeatedly, and strength will answer back. There will be days when loving yourself feels impossible. On those days, do not curse yourself for struggling. Speak survival instead. Say, I am learning. Say, I am still worthy. Say, this moment will not define me. These are not lies. They are lifelines. They keep your spirit from sinking when the weight feels heavy. You owe yourself the same mercy you give others. You listen patiently when someone you love feels lost. You remind them of their value. Why should your own heart receive less care? The relationship you have with yourself is the longest one you will ever live. Choose not to poison it with careless words. So let your language become a place of healing. Let your self-talk feel like sunlight instead of shadow. Speak words that allow you to grow taller, not smaller, because what you say about yourself today is quietly shaping who you will become tomorrow. And you deserve a future built from seeds of hope, not thorns of doubt. Even in silence, you are listening. When the room is empty and the lights are low, when no one is clapping or correcting you, your inner voice is still speaking, and your heart is still hearing. The words you say in those quiet moments carry the most weight because there is no audience to impress, no one to argue back. It is just you and the truth you keep repeating. And the truth is, your spirit believes you. You may think those passing thoughts don't matter, that the small insults you throw at yourself are harmless because they are private, but privacy does not make them powerless. What you say to yourself becomes the background music of your life. It plays while you work, while you dream, while you decide whether to try again or give up. Over time, that music teaches you how much space you're allowed to take up in the world. Be careful what you rehearse in your mind. If you keep practicing self-doubt, it will perform perfectly when opportunity arrives. If you keep telling yourself you are not ready, not smart enough, not worthy enough, your courage will hesitate even when the door is wide open. not because the chance is wrong, but because your inner voice told you not to trust yourself. You are always listening, especially when you are tired, especially when you have failed, especially when you feel unseen. Those are the moments when your words can either hold you together or quietly pull you apart. You don't need grand speeches to change your life. You need kinder sentences, ones that say, I am allowed to grow slowly, ones that say, I can rest without guilt, ones that say, I am more than this moment. Pay attention to how your body responds when you speak gently to yourself. Notice how your shoulders soften, how your breath deepens, how resistance loosens its grip. That is not weakness, that is recognition. Your soul recognizes safety when it hears it, and safety is where healing begins. You are not required to praise yourself endlessly, but you are required to stop being cruel. You can be honest without being violent. You can correct yourself without destroying yourself. Speak as though you are shaping someone you deeply care about, because you are. One day, the world will echo the language you taught yourself. Confidence learned in private will stand tall in public. Respect practiced inwardly will demand respect outwardly. The voice you cultivate now will guide you then. So listen closely to what you are saying when no one else is around. Choose words that leave room for hope. Choose words that remind you that you are still becoming, because the most important ears in the room have always been yours, and they deserve to hear something worth believing. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that being hard on ourselves was a sign of good character. We were told that lowering our heads meant we were humble, that criticizing ourselves kept us grounded, that if we spoke too kindly about who we are, we might become arrogant. But humility was never meant to be self-hatred. True humility does not ask you to deny your worth. It asks you to recognize it without fear. When you tear yourself down, you are not being modest. You are reopening a wound. You are pressing on bruises that never fully healed and calling it discipline. You are confusing pain with progress. There is nothing noble about speaking to yourself in a way that drains your strength. A broken spirit does not make a better human being. It only makes a quieter one. Think about how often you excuse harsh words by saying, I'm just being real with myself. But honesty without compassion becomes cruelty. You can admit where you need to grow without turning your flaws into a verdict on your value. You can see your mistakes clearly without branding yourself as one. Growth was never meant to come from shame. It was meant to come from understanding. Self-criticism teaches your heart to flinch. Over time, it learns to expect punishment instead of patience. You hesitate to try because you already know how severely you will judge yourself if you fail. You shrink your dreams not because they are too big, but because you are tired of hurting yourself for reaching. This is not humility. It is survival under constant attack. There is a difference between being accountable and being abusive to yourself. Accountability says, I can do better. Abuse says, I am not good. One opens a door, the other builds a wall. When you constantly speak against yourself, you are not keeping yourself in check. You are keeping yourself stuck. Imagine offering the same words you use on yourself to someone you love. Imagine watching their face fall under the weight of those sentences. You would never call that love. You would never call that guidance. So why do you call it discipline when it is directed inward? Why do you accept a voice that weakens you instead of one that steadies you? You do not need to tear yourself apart to stay grounded. You stay grounded by knowing where you come from and honoring how far you've walked. You stay grounded by admitting you are human, not by punishing yourself for it. Strength grows where respect lives. Let your inner voice mature. Let it correct without crushing, guide without shaming, and speak truth without stripping away hope. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking honestly of yourself with grace. You were never meant to be your own enemy. The world already has enough battles waiting for you. Be the place where your spirit can rest, not the place where it must defend itself. Learning to speak to yourself with love does not happen all at once. It begins awkwardly with words that feel unfamiliar on your tongue. You may not believe them at first. You may even feel foolish saying something kind to yourself after years of harshness. That is okay. Love does not demand perfection at the beginning. It only asks for willingness. Even learning love is still love in motion. There will be moments when the old voice rises quickly, sharp and impatient, ready to remind you of everything you think you lack. In those moments, pause. You do not need to silence that voice with force. Simply refuse to let it lead. Speak back with gentleness, even if your voice trembles. Say something small but true, like, I am trying, or I am allowed to learn. Small kindnesses matter. They are how trust is rebuilt. Speaking to yourself with love does not mean ignoring your struggles. It means sitting beside them instead of standing over them with judgment. It means acknowledging your pain without making it your identity. When you fail, love does not shout, it listens. When you fall short, love does not abandon you, it stays. You deserve that same loyalty from yourself. Think about how love sounds when it is patient. It does not rush growth. It understands that healing is not linear, that strength has quiet days and loud ones. When you speak to yourself with love, you give yourself permission to move at a human pace. You stop demanding miracles and start allowing progress. That shift alone can change how heavy life feels. Some days, loving words will come easily. Other days, they will feel forced and distant. Do not let that discourage you. Love is not measured by how inspired you feel. It is measured by what you choose when things are hard. Even choosing not to insult yourself is an act of care. Even choosing silence instead of cruelty is growth. Over time, your inner voice begins to soften. You start noticing the effort you used to ignore. You start honoring your resilience instead of only pointing out your flaws. The relationship you have with yourself slowly changes, and with it, the way you show up in the world. Confidence becomes quieter but steadier. Peace becomes something you carry, not something you chase. Speaking to yourself with love teaches your nervous system that it is safe to be you. It tells your heart that it does not need to earn rest or worthiness. It reminds you that you are allowed to exist without apology. That message, repeated gently, becomes a foundation no storm can easily shake. You may still be learning how to love yourself, and that is enough. Love is not a destination you arrive at fully formed. It is a practice you return to again and again. And every time you choose kinder words, you are choosing to become a home for yourself, one where healing, courage, and hope are always welcome. Your past may speak loudly, but it does not get the final word. What happened to you, what you survived, what you regret, these are chapters, not conclusions. Yet many people punish themselves by rereading the same painful pages and calling it their identity. They speak about themselves as if yesterday's wounds are today's truth. But pain remembers what healing is trying to forget, and you must decide which voice you will trust. You are not required to keep proving where you came from. Survival was never meant to become a label you wear forever. Yes, the past shaped you, but it did not sentence you. Growth means understanding that what hurt you taught you something, not that it gets to define you. When you speak negatively about yourself because of who you used to be, you keep living in a chapter that already ended. There is a difference between honoring your past and living inside it. Honoring means learning. Living inside it means repeating the same story until it sounds like destiny. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," ask yourself whether you are describing your truth or your trauma. Trauma speaks in limits. Truth speaks in possibility. Do not confuse familiarity with accuracy. Just because you have known pain for a long time does not mean it is your home. Just because you struggled before does not mean you will always struggle the same way. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself without explaining it to anyone, not even to the voice inside you that doubts change. When you speak against yourself, using your past as evidence, you deny your present strength. You forget how much wisdom came from endurance, how much courage came from choosing to stay. Your past may explain some things, but it does not excuse self-cruelty. It does not give you permission to speak to yourself as if you are finished becoming. Every day you wake up, you are writing a new line. Every decision to be kinder to yourself edits the story forward. Growth is not loud, and healing does not always announce itself. Sometimes it looks like refusing to repeat an old insult. Sometimes it sounds like saying, "That was then, this is now." Those moments matter more than you realize. You are not betraying your past by choosing peace. You are not pretending it didn't happen by speaking well of yourself. You are honoring how far you have come by refusing to stay stuck in who you had to be to survive. The strongest people are not the ones who cling to their pain. They are the ones who release it without shame. Let your past be a teacher, not a judge. Let it inform you, not sentence you. Speak about yourself as someone still unfolding, not someone already decided. You are allowed to change the tone of your story. You are allowed to write hope where hurt once lived. And remember this, a book is not ruined because it has difficult chapters. It is only unfinished. So stop speaking as if your story is over. Turn the page, your voice is the pen, and the next chapter is waiting for kinder words. There is power in calling yourself whole, even when you still feel pieces missing. Wholeness is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of acceptance. It is the decision to stop waiting until you are perfect, healed, or fearless before you offer yourself respect. Many people delay kindness until they feel ready, not realizing that kindness is often what makes readiness possible. You do not become whole one day like a sudden miracle. Wholeness is practiced. It is spoken into existence through the way you refer to yourself, especially on the days when you feel uncertain. When you say, "I am broken," your spirit contracts. But when you say, "I am whole," even while healing, something inside you relaxes. Your heart understands that it does not need to be fixed before it is valued. Calling yourself whole does not deny your struggles. It simply refuses to let those struggles define your worth. You can carry grief and still be whole. You can carry fear and still be whole. You can carry unanswered questions and still be whole. Wholeness is not about having everything figured out. It is about knowing you are enough to keep going. So many people believe they must earn their worth through achievement, approval, or perfection. They speak to themselves as if value is a reward instead of a birthright. But you were not created in pieces. Life may have chipped at you, but it did not reduce your essence. You are still complete at the core, even when the surface feels worn. When you call yourself whole, you stop approaching life from lack. You stop begging moments, people, or success to complete you. Instead, you meet the world as someone who already belongs. That shift changes how you walk into rooms, how you accept love, how you respond to setbacks. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" There will be resistance at first. An old voice may argue, reminding you of everything you think disqualifies you from feeling whole. Let it speak, but do not let it decide. Speak over it with truth that is steady, not loud. Say, "I am not finished, but I am not lacking." Say it until your nervous system hears safety instead of accusation. Wholeness is also permission. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to say no without apology. Permission to grow without self-punishment. When you see yourself as whole, you stop trying to prove your worth through exhaustion. You understand that rest is not weakness. It is maintenance for something valuable. The way you name yourself shapes how you experience life. If you call yourself damaged, you will move cautiously, always afraid of breaking further. If you call yourself whole, you will move with care, but also with courage. You will trust yourself to handle joy as well as pain. So begin there. Call yourself whole before you feel confident. Call yourself whole before the healing is complete. Call yourself whole in the middle of the mess. Because wholeness is not a finish line, it is a foundation. And when you stand on it, everything you build from there becomes stronger, steadier, and kinder. Your name carries your story. It has been spoken in moments of joy and moments of pain, whispered in prayer, called out in frustration, remembered in silence. It holds every version of you that has ever existed. And yet, so often, you are the one who speaks it with the least care. You attach disappointment to it. You say it alongside failure. You let it sit in sentences that sound like apologies for existing. But your name was never meant to be spoken with shame. Every time you say your name, out loud or inside your mind, you are introducing yourself to your own soul. When you speak it gently, something softens within you. When you speak it harshly, something withdraws. Your spirit recognizes tone before it understands meaning. It knows when it is being honored and when it is being diminished. Think about how carefully you say the names of people you love. You don't rush them. You don't spit them out with frustration. You say them with warmth, with familiarity, with respect. You pause when they are spoken in pain. You protect them when they are misunderstood. You owe yourself that same reverence. Your name is not a placeholder. It is not a mistake. It is a declaration that you exist and that you matter. When you speak negatively about yourself, you are often speaking negatively about your name without realizing it. You turn it into a label for shortcomings instead of a reminder of resilience. You let it become shorthand for everything you think went wrong. But your name has survived every storm you did. It has been called in rooms you thought you'd never enter. It has been spoken by people who saw your light even when you forgot it was there. Say your name without flinching. Say it without attaching an insult afterward. Let it stand alone, complete, worthy of respect. When you introduce yourself to the world, you don't apologize for your name. Don't apologize for it in private either. The way you treat your name teaches your heart how valuable you believe you are. There is strength in saying your name proudly, not in arrogance, but in acknowledgement. Pride does not mean pretending you are flawless. It means recognizing that you are real, that you are here, that you have earned your place through every breath you've taken. Saying your name with pride is saying, I belong in my own life. Your name deserves to be spoken with kindness on days you feel strong and on days you feel small, especially on the days you feel small. Those are the moments when respect matters most. When you feel lost, say your name as if you are calling yourself home. When you feel overwhelmed, say it as if you are reminding yourself that you are not alone. One day, the way you speak your name will echo in the way others speak it too. Confidence begins privately. Respect is practiced inwardly before it is recognized outwardly. Start there. Say your name gently. Say it proudly. Let it remind you that you are not invisible, not insignificant, not replaceable. Your name is not just what people call you. It is who you answer to. Make sure when you answer, it sounds like respect.